So good evening, everybody, and I'd like to welcome you to the Ladies Gaelic Football webinar tonight, Minding Yourself as a Referee. I'm privileged to have Kevin Phelan with me this evening. Kevin is one of our national referees, and Kevin's going to share some of his insight in and around refereeing. Kevin's just coming off the back of a very successful January where he officiated at the Senior Club All Ireland. So Kevin has a lot of experience in and around refereeing and maybe about sometimes having to switch off and look after yourself. So hopefully Kevin will share some insight with us tonight. So Kevin, if you want to say hello there.
Hello everyone. Good to have you here. So hopefully we'll get going fairly quickly. Get a few. That's it.
We get everybody going, Kevin.
Yeah, we'll get them all going. We'll wind them up.
Yes. So I'm just going to run through really basically what we're going to go through this evening. So we're going to look at why you should look after yourself. So it's something that maybe we don't talk about an awful lot, referees looking after and taking care of themselves. Provide guidance on mental, physical and emotional well-being. Provide guidance on coping with stress and ensure referees learn how to balance their life. So that's what we're sort of hoping to get out of tonight. And again, any questions that we can assist you with, we will do it. So just to kick off and get going, I'm going to have a couple of wee polls for you to set the scene. So as a referee, what do you pay most attention to regarding your well-being? So do you think about your well-being? Do we think about A, mental, physical or emotional? Loads coming in there. So as you can see there, 56 have went with mental and 44% have went with physical, and nobody is looking after their emotional well-being. So it must be a lot of men here if we're not looking after too much emotional well-being in and around it. So that's good for us. Another big one, okay, that will all be, as on average, and I'm not talking about, obviously it's a bit of off season at the minute, but just say on an average week during the summer when the games are fast, how many games are you officiating in a week on average? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus? Yeah, you can see really interesting in and around that as well. I'm just going to share that with you. So 67% are going 2-3 games, 22% go 4-5 games, and we have 11% at 6 plus games. So what I will say in and around that is, if we're looking at a player and a player come up to me and said, I'm doing 6 games a week, I go mad at them as a coach. And I think sometimes as a referee, we get stuck in the rut of doing maybe 6, 7, 8, afraid to say no. And then the games all just morph into one another. You're not getting right or ready for the next one. So it is something we will discuss and something that you do have to be careful in and about. And last but not least, what motivates you most to be a referee? So what's your biggest motivation? Is it enjoy the games and controlling them, giving back to the sport, money or payment benefits, and getting better and being part of a team? What motivates you the most? So a good spread in and around there. Enjoying the game and controlling it, 33, giving back to the sport, 44, and getting better and being part of the team, 22. So you can see that there. It's really, really good to see what we have. And that's just sort of to give us a bit of insight of who we have on with us this evening and what we're here after. When I was trying to put this webinar together, I looked at stuff, I kept thinking, minding ourselves as a referee, what do we mean? What do we mean? And when you look up minding, it really is to take care of someone or something, to be careful of or give attention to something. So that's really minding. So that's what we're talking about. And it's something I don't think I'm working with referees now full time. It's part of my job for the last 4 years. And one thing I sometimes think is, who is taking care of them? And I think that stands for everybody. Demanding you have to take care of something or someone. And I think minding yourself as a referee is really important. The referee is somebody, an official who watches a game or match closely to ensure that the rules are adhered to. So something people don't realise, your role as a referee is to ensure that the rules of our game are adhered to, not what you think, but what it says in our official guide. And you're trying to implement that to the best of your ability. And sometimes you have to take care of yourself along the journey. And it could be something that we maybe aren't the best doing, is actually minding ourselves, sitting back and looking at ourselves. So, don't know, Kevin, are you any good at minding yourself?
Well, I wasn't once upon a time when I was young and foolish, but it's nowadays as you're getting older, I'm very much conscious now of what I'm doing, my diet, my exercise, and just getting out and about, not being sedentary. Like, I mean, my job is a sedentary job, so I'm a lot more mindful now of making sure I take proper breaks, getting proper the diet is right, because it is getting hard. It gets harder as we all know, as you get older, no different than when I was playing, but it is a lot more, I suppose, a lot more focus now on is, keeping yourself in good nick, like, and it is, and the reason, one of the reasons by that I'm mindful of it is that, you have a responsibility to the teams that you're refereeing to be in the best shape you can be, as well as you can. That's one of the big things that drives me on. Make sure that, I'll only do refereeing as when I'm fit enough to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's not fair. You're not minding yourself. So that's really why I'd be, I'm always conscious of that. Minding myself. That it is very important that way.
That's a good point, because you're saying, you're there to look after teams, and you wouldn't feel right getting on the pitch if you're not both physically, mentally, and emotionally right. And people laugh at that element, but the physical element is obviously being fit, being healthy, being able to go up and down the pitch, fueling your body to look after that. Mentally is being prepared, going out there, having run through scenarios, leaving any maybe things at the, but you've two whistles in case a whistle breaks, all that preparation is mental preparation. You've thought about scenarios. What's this going to happen in a game? I know how I would deal with this. And emotionally being able to maybe leave any troubles you're having behind, and you're able to emotionally separate yourself from being the referee and being the person for that 60 minutes that people might be shouting one or 2 points towards, that maybe aren't always the nicest. So I'm going to ask the question here for you in the chat box, really easy. Is there anything you do to mind yourself as a referee? Anything you do just to look after yourself in regard to your referee, and you do just to mind yourself, keep yourself, and to help you with your refereeing? Anybody get any good things to do you want to put into the chat box there for us? Let's read them out as they come in. That's a great one. Train over the winter when there's no games. So you're really sticking at it, not letting yourself,
It's tough going. Winter training is tough going. That, and it's the most important time of the year to do training.
It's probably a bit lonely as well, Kevin, in the winter.
It's very, very lonely, and when you're doing your laps and getting your core training in, it's very hard to stay motivated. That's when sometimes you rely on your friends and maybe your family to go with you, like.
And would you have a training buddy or anything that you would go?
I will just the local club, and I'd have my son, and my family would come, and we have a sort of a running group there that would run. Young lads, not that I'm able to keep up to them or anything like that. I'm trying to not be lapped after about 10 laps, or after about 4 laps, that they don't lap me, like, but you're trying. It is help when you're in groups. I saw it last year, especially during COVID, when they had individual running, and you can see not everyone is a good runner. Like, I mean, that like John Devlin there, he'll run all day and all night. Like,
Yeah,
he's built for running. But the likes of myself now, I'm not, and I need help. You know what I mean? I need motivation and to push myself. You know, you're there with someone and you're running. You get your best times with someone. You know.
definitely. And you breast training, and one of the things that I love seeing, some people are saying that they recover well. You know, that's so important now. See, recovering, you know, after a game, even what do you get, you know, getting a wee bit of milk into you, get a bit of protein into you, a bit of carbs into you after a match to start that recovery. Get a rest day in. Don't be refereeing the 8 games back to back. Don't be running out of the house every night of the week. Because you mentally need to rest too. You mentally need to park a game sometimes and just take a night off and switch off before you go out to the game.
Yeah, it is. It unfortunately is becoming a sort of a scenario there now with in counties with lack of referees. You know, unfortunately some referees have to do, or not have to do, but feel obliged to do those extra games, 2 in a night even, like, you know.
I love this with Nigel put into his, Kevin. He started a reflection book, what issues were that arose, and identify how to address them next time. That's just brilliant. Like,
it is. That's excellent. Like, I mean, now I'd always be like, you know what I mean, sitting down analysing what I've been doing, what I did right and what I didn't do right, you know, because we'll always make mistakes, you know, that's part and parcel of the game. Like, but reflect that. He's actually very organised to be actually writing down what you.
But it means you have a diary of it. If you keep it all together, you're able to say, well, this arose and this is what I did. Or if you're talking to another referee, then Nigel, you can say, hang on, I'll grab my book here. This has happened to me a couple of times. What would you have done? Instead of just, sometimes if we meet people and people ask us off the head, we forget. We're like, oh, what would I have done on that occasion?
Yeah. But even in the last game now, I'm waiting. I don't know whether I might have been assessed. I'm waiting to talk to my assessor if it was assessed in the final. The very last sin bin, did I do it in time? Should I have done it earlier?
Yeah.
You know, but you're still, even though you did do things, you're still asking, should I, you know what I mean? Is there a better way? Should I have done it in time? Or, you know, I should always be looking to improve.
Was it something, was it a card I could have caught earlier? You know, that type of thing, because you're reflecting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, late tackle and a late hit, and I let the game go on. And then at the end of the play, when the play broke down, I went back and sin binned. But ask myself, should I have actually done it, stopped the game and done it there? You know, but you know, there was only a couple of seconds to go when I did it. But, you know, I would have been annoyed with myself if I hadn't to done it, like, to catch that person, like, you know. That so you'll always be looking to, you know, and you should be actually asking yourself, look, what can you do better with it, like, you know.
Definitely, and having someone you trusted, I think, to ask you that.
Yeah. No, in fairness to national, great referees in national, like, I mean, to be able to, you know, you can bounce things off them, you know, and even in club level here now, that there's a good few referees there at club level that you can always, you know, bounce things off. We don't always know the answer, or funny curiosities that would come up, like, as to, you know, how would you deal with this, like.
And it's a great way to start conversation. Somebody once told me, I think it was when I was starting a job, Kevin, they said, you'll never find a quiet bunch of referees. You know, when they're together, they're always discussing something.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, there'll always be there's a peculiarity in every sport, and if there's a way around it, the player will find it, or they'll play it to the edge, you know, and they'll test you, you know.
So what we're going to talk about is we're going to go a few things to talk about trying to keep really good, both mental and physical and emotional health. I suppose all three of them are knocked down in these areas. And it's about minding yourself, because that's what tonight's about. It's about ways that you can maybe think about minding yourself that bit better. So connect, and it's really important. I find it, probably because I always played team sport, and I just am at my most comfortable with people and being around people and being around a team. I've injured myself quite badly there, and I've been doing a lot of rehab, and I'm in the gym, and he always says to me, do you love the gym? And I say, no, I hate the gym. And the two of us laugh our heads off. And he says, but you're here 4 days a week. And I says, I know, but I don't like it. But I would prefer to be on a pitch with a teammate any day of the week, months of the year. For me, connection's really vital. And I think it's something that sometimes referees miss a wee bit of while they have a team around them, maybe as they get to provincial and national level. If you're there refereeing a club level, sometimes it can be that wee bit lonely if you don't have them people supporting you. So Feeling close to and valued by people is a fundamental human need, and one that contributes to functioning well in the world. Social relationships are critical for promoting well-being and for acting as a buffer against mental ill health for people of all ages. So some ways that you can connect, if you're that referee on this webinar tonight and you're thinking, I'm out, I don't have no umpires, I usually have no lines people, I'm refereeing at the club, and it's really common, probably more common than the guys that do have a team around them. What are some things you can do to connect? So attend referee training events. So coming on here tonight, like-minded people, it means if you can ask a question, people are going to come in and they're going to want to be interested in listening. But also your county board are supposed to run a referee refresher every year. Attend that, get up and go and meet and mingle and talk to other referees, especially if you're a new referee. But if you're an old referee, it's all important. Connect with the referees in your county, meet up with them, chat to them, give them a ring, communicate, buddy up, complete fitness training with other referees rather than on your own. Find yourself a buddy. Ask for a referee mentor. Ask your county board if this can support you and somebody that would like to mentor. Form networks with other match officials, particularly those at similar stages of development. If there's somebody in and around you, form a relationship, maybe somebody that did a course with you if you're first starting out. They'll probably be the person that you're experiencing the same things at similar times, and you'll usually be closer to that person because you'll have a lot of things in common. Connect away from refereeing, so don't be afraid to make sure you spend time with your family, walk the dog, socializing, or with friends. But informing that social connection is so important for minding yourself. So Kevin, is there any examples of anything you do just looking at that to keep yourself connected as a referee?
Yeah, well, of course, if I'm not refereeing, I'm watching the kids play sports or bringing them to sports. So the other one thing I do is actually in work. You have a discussion group in work. That for especially after games, and not particularly any games I'd be doing, it'd be any games on television that we'd actually get into a discussion as to what were decisions, were the right decisions, and trying to educate the group, I'm working in Kilkenny, so they're mad Kilkenny people and they're in the doldrums at the moment, so every decision goes against them. It's what you call it, a critical decision. But no, I'd be out with I hobbies, I would be up on the farm with the brother, helping him out. And it's a hobby now, more so than anything else, you're getting out, and with the kids then as well, you're doing activities with the kids. My kids are growing up now, but and they're my umpires now as well. So, yeah. But what's this? But you would be going to a lot of matches, because down the country you would be So that's our focal point. But you be volunteering, doing things a lot of times. I volunteer a lot, doing help out, anything to be done, hole to be dug, anywhere like that. You'd volunteer, That so that keeps you busy, keeps you active,
You love a good interference as well.
I love the good interference. If only for the ladies' football, I'd be done for harassment in work. That's all I keep telling them. There's because look, and that's even the girls actually get great enjoyment out of it. Doing that, just organising that, and have we dates on that now? That's the other thing that I am still waiting on for this year. I have promised them.
I'll text you. We have a provincial date. So I'll text.
Very good. It's just I have to order. I'm the man that seems gets everything. If they want anything, they come to me and I get it. In my job, So I have to talk them out and feed them and all that. So what's this? We have to make plans first. So, but yeah, look, you try and get yourself involved in other different things. It can be big hobbies, minor hobbies.
Yeah.
But again, for me, it's the social aspect of it.
Definitely.
And I think we went down last weekend, to put up a pole for lights. Now how hard can it be? Was the question. Do you know what I mean? I think it took us all day to dig one hole and put up a pipe. And I think it was more the talking and the drinking tea, I think, around it than anything.
It was hard. It was harder than it looked, Kevin.
It was, well, that's what I said. We harder as looked. If you have to give it to one of the proper lads to do it, he'd have done in an hour. But it took us all day to do it, and between talking and drinking tea, I suppose, but it's the social thing of it. That's what I've set up. I'm chairman of the club, so I'm trying to set up this, different groups that are more social than anything else, that give them a job to do, let them at it. I don't care how long it takes, lads, do it. And you know, again, it goes back into well-being, you know what I mean? And you know, that it's not about, you know, being perfection, you know, just have people doing something, getting involved, you know.
We're all looking out for each other, I suppose, is one of them.
Yeah, it is, like, I mean, especially in rural areas. We're in a rural area, like, you know what I mean, that so we only have the GAA. We don't even have a pub in our area. Like, when we have a school and a church, and that's it, you know. So, you know, everything is centered around the GAA, like, you know. And, you know, I just see that Christopher coming in there with a buddy referee, like, yeah. So Mick Tarpey now is a new referee in on the national panel. So myself and Mick would be tic-tacking, you know, about different things like that. And so yeah, you know, it's just making contact with other people, and that, you know, it's what's vitally important.
It puts the mind at ease as well.
Yeah, you know, you're not, and then you're not talking about matches you're not focusing on your match or anything like that, or what, you know, the referee, and it gets your mind off it, like, you know.
Yeah, and one of the physical aspects, you know, we're talking there about the connect, the social, but being active, you know, people don't realize the benefits of being active. You know, regular physical activity is associated with lower rates of depression and anxiety across all age groups. Exercise is essential for slowing age-related cognitive decline and for promoting well-being. So complete your fitness training regularly. And I love that everyone was saying they like to keep themselves ticking over in the winter. I highly recommend it. But I also recommend doing different things off the pitch. I recommend, if you like swimming, go on swimming. If you like cycling, go for your cycle. You should be, especially as a referee, build in other activities that aren't solely running up and down the pitch, because you can get fairly sick of it. So officiate as much as you're able, enduring balance with other commitments. So making sure you're not trying to squeeze it all in, and that your whole life isn't about refereeing, because you'll soon get sick of it if that's the case. If feasible, continue to play. This will also help your refereeing. If you're still able to play, don't be afraid to keep playing either. Be active away from football, play other sports, and absorb and relax. You know, I don't know, Kevin, if you have any other activities that you do, but refereeing.
I that second last line now, I don't you must be talking to my young lad now, because he wants me to come out of retirement and play with him. So what's this, like, no, the other activities, not, I run, do you know what I mean, and do a bit of running, and that is what really I focus on. The cycling doesn't appeal to me at all, you know. A bit of swimming, all right, I would do a bit of swimming, you know, when I can, but I get time in that, like, but as I said,
even the likes of things coming in now, you know, like even going to the gym and doing a bit of strength training. Some people don't talk about the Pilates, the yoga, the mobility. Like, they're all great for helping you to relax.
Believe it or not, if you want to eradicate injuries, it's the yoga and Pilates, you know.
I find the Pilates brilliant.
Is it? Yeah, I haven't done the Pilates now, but we did it in work. I got one of the girls in work, who's an instructor in it, at lunchtime. She used to run the course, like, you know, and of course, being one of the few lads, she used to use me as a guinea pig, like, I mean, as the what you call it, to show what you can't do and how unflexible we are, you know. But it actually benefited me hugely with injuries, with a lack of injuries. I had no injuries at all that year, you know, and the sorriest thing happened to when she left, like, you know. But it was great, though. It was actually very, very good.
It just helps strengthen everything in and around there.
But it eliminates the injuries. It eliminates, yeah.
But it's good. It's good for the head as well, and that probably leads us into taking notice. Sometimes we're so sucked in and going, "What a game am I on to next? What am I running to with this?" That we forget to just take a second. So reminding yourself to take notice can strengthen and broaden your awareness, can make you better. Studies show that being aware of what is taking place in the present directly enhances your well-being, and savoring the moment can help to reaffirm your life priorities. So taking it in and savouring it when you've made an occasion, like the first time you're appointed to a county final, enjoying it. You know, taking 5 minutes after the final whistle. You know, the first time you officiate in Croke Park. You know, whatever that might be. Your first time doing maybe possibly an adult game, whatever that is. Taking notice of it and taking it off the list. They're all really important. Preparing properly for matches, ensuring you have the necessary kit and equipment. It's so important that you feel at ease getting into it. Have I got all that checked off? Setting yourself realistic goals for each match and training session. Treat every match as your most important of the season, And that's something Shane Curley would always say. I know he's on here this evening, but I've heard him talk a lot, or a couple of times now, and I'll say a lot, Shane. But Shane always has that same message, and I love it. He said, if I was refereeing the All-Ireland final, I would prepare the exact same way as I was refereeing the under-12 game, because them children deserve me to be at my best at under-12, as well as going out there to the senior game. So I just always think it's something, treat every game with the same importance. Provide leadership on match day to other match officials in your team, e.g. umpires and lines people. You're the leader, so show good leadership skills. Don't allow yourself to be distracted from the job in hand when training or at match day, and check in with how you're feeling, focusing on your breathing. So if you feel things slipping away, like, oh, did I make a poor decision there? You take a breath and you refocus. You take notice that that's happened. So, Kevin, I'm just going to throw it over to you. You know, in terms of take notice, do you take time to savor it in, or
Yeah, you see what like, I mean, I as part of my sort of working on it, a little bit of training, and that first paragraph there about taking notice, like, I mean, standing back. Sometimes we can daydream, or we can get caught up in an emotional thing, whereas sometimes what they suggest is that you actually focus on something, you know, for a split minute, or just if you're in there, you know, focus on a scenery or focus on a sign or something like that, just to stop you, you know, getting caught up in things. Take a breath, you know, take a step back sometimes can help, like, you know what I mean? And then, you know, preparation, again, it is hugely important, like, I mean, and I used to be a disaster when I first started at this. You know, I could turn up to matches, you know what I mean, missing something, you know, that and it is hugely important. It actually sets you up right, you know, when you actually prepare, like, and as you said, Shane, treat every match the same, that you have all your kit, you double check it, you have maybe two of things that if you need it, like, you know, and that then, you know, gets you into the right frame of mind with the match, you know, and like that too, it's savoring the occasion. Luckily enough, I got to ref in an All-Ireland final, and it was a great day out. And Shane was actually my buddy on the same day, like, I mean, and we thoroughly enjoyed it, you know. And it is, you know, it is a great occasion. And any match, even the county final, I had the county final this year, hadn't done one in years, you know. And what's this again, said to the lads, and the lads I was with me, my umpires, you know, enjoy it, you know. And I'm in getting lucky enough to go to Croke Park now on Saturday. So obviously they must have thought I did a good job in the final. So I'm in Croke Park on Saturday. So I'm telling the lads now that it'll be a great day out, and we'll go up nice and early, and we'll savour the occasion, you know, because it's a special day out, like, for us, you know. That so it is important, you know what I mean, to savour everything that you're doing, like, you know. It's a short career as well. Refereeing is a short career, you know, in relative terms too, like, you know what I mean, especially at the national level, you know. So, but, like, I mean, and that's it, when you get the chances and enjoy them, like, I mean, I enjoy all the county games I go to, and try and you know, you try to be your best at every one of them, like. And like you're saying, leadership then as well, like, I mean, having a good team, you know. Without Gary Owen did a great job at me and on the fourth official on the All-Ireland final, the club final. You know what I mean? He was constantly reminding me. I was asking him questions, and he was, you know, so he was excellent. So you having your match officials there, you know, being in touch with you, and you know, you're giving them a sense of responsibility helps and actually that's part of the leadership, like,
yeah,
you're part of a group, like, you know, that. And I would have
you
gone
feel
here
supported then, you know, when you have someone like that.
like, you mean, yeah, look, and I've had Shane and John there, two of them, and we've done vice versa, like, I mean, so you're trying to help, you know, the ref, whoever's out in the middle of the field, or if you're on the middle of the field, you're looking for, you know, good assistance as well, like, do you know what I mean? So it's a part of a team thing, like, and it's very important that as a referee, and as even if as a fourth official, you know, or a lines person, that you're there to help the referee. You know, you can't make the decisions for them, and referees we all make mistakes, but you help them as best you can, like.
Definitely keep them on track. It's all part of it. Taking note of it all around you and support them where you can. And the big one there is keep learning. You know, I love this, and I actually really am. I know sometimes people think, oh, she's bluffing up there, but I believe in lifelong learning. I believe in keeping learning. I think that's what keeps us all young and fresh and moving. So continued learning through life enhances self-esteem and encourages social interaction and a more active life. The practice of setting goals, which is related to adult learning in particular, has been strongly associated with higher levels of well-being. So the more you learn and the more goals you set, you're actually preparing yourself mentally and emotionally and physically, and it's so much better for your well-being. It increases that confidence. You nearly sometimes feel 10 foot taller because you've learned something new. It's so good for you. So again, just simple things you can do to keep your learning. Attend these webinars, and if you've missed any of the webinars, we've loads of them that we've done over the last 18 months. Guys, they're all on our YouTube channel. Just fire them in if you're going for a walk, put them in your ears and listen to them as you go. You might pick up one thing, and that's all I ever ask. If you pick up one thing from a webinar, we're doing a good job. If you pick up nothing, that's a different story. But hopefully everybody is always able to pick up something. So attend referee webinars and make sure you complete the annual rules refresher. That's all. That's a part of your constant learning. Learn from others through watching other games and referees. I don't think it's something we do enough. We should be watching other referees, be going to other games in your county and watching referees and being there as a support, but also watching, saying what way do they play the advantage, what way are they noting. I might ask them after the game how they would deal with this situation, because it's all learning. Continuously self-reflect and analyze your own performance. Kevin already touched on that. Looking back, they're probably at a privileged element now that all their games are being videoed now, so they have an opportunity to look back at their match and go, okay, how did it get on today? Or there's analysis there for them, or there's assessments. So you have that, but in yourself, look back in your game and think, how did it get on? What did it do well? And that's a question we don't ask ourselves. And I think it's a real Irish thing, and it bugs me. No matter what I ask people, how did you get on there? What did you do well? They usually always come back with a negative straight away. We'll have to change your mindset. What we've done well is A, B, and C. What we need to improve on is A and B. That's the only way you will learn. Look at the positives too. Be proactive in seeking advice from other match officials, including mentors and coaches. Go out there and ask somebody to come and watch you. Don't be afraid to not ask. Engage in post-match feedback sessions with observers, mentors, and coaches. If somebody has came to watch you, talk to them after and take that feedback. Push and prepare yourself to attend the next level through the referee pathway. Don't sit in your laurels. If you're sitting there and you think, God, I'd love to try and be a provincial referee or a national referee, go and do it. If you're sitting there as a youth referee, only refereeing under 16 games, push yourself to adult games. If you're refereeing junior adult games and not intermediate or senior, push yourself to the next level. Step out of that comfort zone, and take up a hobby or interest away from refereeing. Just keep that mind active. Don't always be sucked into it, but keep learning is vital. And I don't know what you think about keeping learning, Kevin. Is it something you do?
Yeah, no, look, it's even. It doesn't have to be even. It's learning is you'll always be learning. You know what I mean? You learn something new every day. So you're asking, and it doesn't have to be just the referees. You pick up a hobby, doing something, you learn about it, and it keeps your mind active. It's very important there that you're constantly assessing yourself. You're challenging yourself. And I suppose one person asked me why did I ever take up refereeing? And I said it's a challenge. I challenge myself. I want to be as best as the best I can be at a referee. So it was for me. It was a challenge as much as it was for giving back to the ref for football. So you have to challenge yourself. You have to to keep yourself right, keep your mental health right. If you just just to sit back, you won't improve. So learning is always improving, and it's give me different topics. You know what I mean? That myself and my son here, like we would take up a history, so we learn something about something, some obscure bit of history, like, do you know what I mean? That we take notes and we'd be challenging one another. What would be, what was the socio-economic effects of the Celtic tiger in Zambia? Do you know what I mean? And then we find something on that, like, it's just, you have to sort of keep your mind healthy. It's much as your body, it's your mind has to be healthy as well. So, and that the only way to do that is by learning, constant learning. That would be.
It's so important, and I suppose that the last one is probably give, something that we mightn't be that good at either. But research shows that giving makes you happier. People with a greater interest in helping others are more likely to rate themselves as happy, and that's something you actually came on straight away, Kevin. You know, it's you love to give back. You know, you were down, as you said, with a raking men putting down a pole, drinking tea and talking that, and giving back to your local club and your community, because it makes you feel accepted, and it's important for everybody to have that. So thank the other members of the match official team post match. It's a simple thing, but thank the people, your umpires, thank your fourth official, thank your lines people. If refereeing youth football, encourage the players during matches. If you're refereeing outdoor go games level in youth, don't be afraid to thank them or encourage the young ones. It makes such a big difference to them. Give some time to help develop other match officials through mentoring or tutoring. If you have a bit of time, give back in your county. If you're a senior referee or have been refereeing a while, why don't you go back and give a hand to somebody who's 17, 18 that's starting off, and just them and having the comfort of you standing at the side of the pitch makes such a big difference.
It is, and it's very important, especially with if one thing, my probably one big regret is that I didn't start refereeing soon enough. That I would have liked to have done, you know, looking back on it now. But yeah, like, I mean, we have a few young referees, and I would be, you know, helping out there, you know, giving them a bit of guidance on it, you know, and when they go do the line, you're explaining decisions and things like that to them, like, you know. But it's important, like you said there, to thank, you know, your officials and all that. And your officials will also, if you know, keep you know, in with them and all that, they'll help you through the tough times, when they don't go so well. You know, not every game will go well, and you will always have a game where, you know, I mean, that one side or the other will be given out to you. You know, so that's when you need your officials there and your mentors and all that helping you out. You know, that it's very important. You know, that and like, I always feel like, I mean, that you need to give back. You know, we can't always be, you know, taken, especially when you're players and things like that. So that's why, you know, you're refereeing to give back to your club. It's your community. You know, your club is your community.
Yeah,
you know.
definitely, and you feel better for it as well, I think.
You do, yeah. You get enjoyment out of it.
So some day-to-day thoughts, you know, that you should be thinking about, you know, yourself daily. When we talk about minding yourself, take a break when you need it, to put football and refereeing into context. Sometimes it can sit on you. It's not all rosy in the garden. So don't be afraid to take that break. If it's a game, it should be fun and enjoyable. Talk to someone you trust if you're not feeling well, or, you know, you're not feeling great about anything. Set limits and be realistic about what you do. So just keep them in your thoughts daily. The big one that we haven't touched on yet, but is there, we talk about player burnout, player welfare. I hear it all the time. There's maybe not the same focus and talk about referees. So what is burnout? It sits the same for referees. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and able to meet constant demands. And it's really, I'm just going to put this up. It's really important. You know, if you don't charge your phone battery, it goes dead. If you don't charge yourself up as a referee, you go dead. You start, you know, you just physically and emotionally exhausted. You don't have the energy to get up anymore and do it or referee that game. You know what, I did 6 this week. How can you have the aspiration to do another one? It can reduce your sense of accomplishment and devaluate the sport, where you don't care anymore. There's too much going on in your head. That is burnout. Burnout just isn't physical, that your legs are sore. It's emotional. Maybe there's game after game of abuse, or, you know, and you're just exhausted. And if you look at the wee chart, your performance is up the left-hand side. You know, at the start when you were feeling great, you're up. And as things start going, you start burning out. Your performance starts going down with how you feel. You just don't care. And I know Chris did say earlier on in one of his ones, any advice he would give new referees is take a bit of time out and don't be getting burnt out, because I'm telling you now, county boards would let you referee 7 days a week, 5 or 6 times a week. That's just what they would allow you to do. You have to feel in yourself, have a little bit of chart, take notice of yourself. How am I feeling this week? If you're not feeling it, give yourself a timeout, because I'm telling you, if you go all guns blazing, refereeing every night of the week, refereeing every game that comes, you are going to tire out and you are going to burn out. So you have to look after yourself. You have to sometimes put yourself first and go, look, I can't do this game. I need the rest. You know, I need time to recover. I've had 2 or 3 tough games there, and I need maybe not physically recover, but mentally recover. I need a bit of time out. Don't be afraid, I think, to take that time out when you need it.
No, I couldn't agree more with that. Like it's you know, even even a short when you're doing a good number of matches in a row, you know, by the last one, you're actually not looking at the watch to see what time is gone. You're actually looking at what time is left. You know, to get it over and done with. That it can affect, and it does affect you. Like you're not focusing on the match at all, which is not fair to teams.
You know, you just lose it. Yeah, like there's one there, and this is a really common thing. Like that's even just a real life stress. I referee has said here, Kevin, that they're taking a break is due to stress over having to get umpires for several matches in 1 week. Even that stressing them out.
Yeah. Oh, it is like, yeah, because you know they're doing it, you know, voluntarily as well. Like, you know what I mean. So it's hard. It can be hard to get them, like, because you know what I mean. Whatever about you taking that we could be getting abused, umpires can get the same abuse as well. Like, you know, so which is very hard at times, especially when you're doing too many of them.
Yeah, it can be very challenging.
Yeah.
So some tips just to have a think about when you're talking about combat and burnout. Prioritize. Do we sit down and think what's essential? Decide which activities is the most important to you. If you've just start eliminating, start at the bottom. So write down, you know, prioritize them 1 to 10. And if you need to eliminate, you take 10 off and you go with 1. Take a break. Referees need to rest between games. It gives themselves time for learning and reflection. If we're just going game, when do you have time to think about it to get better? Have a life outside sport. Don't make it your be all. Sometimes say no to refereeing and yes to other things. Keep expectations realistic. Don't, like, if you're only starting refereeing and if you said at the end of the year, my goal is to referee the county final, you're only going to fail and then annoy yourself. So make sure you're realistic with what you do. You know, is your goal to referee a league final? Is it to referee an adult game? Make it realistic. Yes, make it challenging, but make it something that's achievable. One size doesn't fit all, so don't try and be somebody else. You're you. You know, do what works for you. Be involved in the decision making. So decide in and around what you want to do. Have clear goals and a plan, and develop stress managing and coping tools. But ask for support. There are all some tips in and around burnout. Another thing is, and it was mentioned in the last quote, pressure and stress in refereeing content. So there is a load of pressure and stress around refereeing. Certain amount of pressure are good for referees. Some people will thrive on pressure. The right amount of pressure can help you perform, which in turn can support your well-being. However, too much pressure could push you towards stress, which might mean you become tired, irritated, and experienced heightened anxiety. There may be times when you're refereeing that something happens to make you feel stressed. For example, you might be verbally abused by a coach, or you might have been given an incorrect match affecting decision. Wanting to progress or having to maintain the required levels of fitness might also cause you to be stressed out. So trying to make that fitness level, trying to get up there. Outside refereeing, you might also be feeling stress as a result of day-to-day life, maybe exams, relationship or work, or having to balance your refereeing with everything else you do. Stress isn't a medical diagnosis, but severe stress over a long period of time may lead to depression or anxiety. Therefore, recognize that you're stressed and acting early is important to your well-being. So knowing that you're stressed, knowing the signs, you're more irritated, you aren't feeling yourself, you know, you're pissed off, you're in bad form, you know, they're all stressful things that can affect you. So you want to try and deal with it earlier on. You want to try and make sure that it's not affecting you, and it can help, and especially around refereeing, around match. You know, just if you've made a bad call and you're just feeling really bad about it, or you've had a real bad incident of maybe abuse, it can be really stressful and can really affect you. Sorry. So it's just important that you're aware of it in and around it. So how do you minimize potential stress? Be organized, plan your journey, leave in time. Don't leave anything to the last minute. You know you're organized. Have a planned pre-match routine. You visualize particular situations, meeting the coach pre-match. So do we think about what am I going to tell the teams, the both captains before a game, or the both coaches? Dealing with players not wearing their mouth guard. How am I going to deal with this? What am I going to say to them? This is important. Have a what if plan to help deal with potential stressors. Plan what you're going to say, and if you're verbally abused by a parent or someone else, how are you going to deal with dissent from the coach? Look after yourself. So we talked about earlier, eating the right food, getting enough sleep, exercising, and maybe some breathing and mindfulness. Do something different rather than focusing all your energies on referee, and do something different to distract. Time out with family and friends. I love this concept. Control the controllables. Guys, we can only control what's in our control. See, you as a referee, you can only control what's there. You can't control other people. You can just control you and what the next situation is ahead of you. So don't forget that. It's something I have to remind myself of all the time. Control the controllables. I can only control so much. Postpone your worries rather than thinking constantly about things that are worrying you. Write them down in a worry diary and deal with one of them at one point at a time or over a fixed period. So, write your worries down. Once you write down, it's actually a fact, you feel a bit better, and then you can deal with it, tick it off, and that worry's gone. Get support from your referee and family, or get support from your referee being away from home. Your family are going, it's fine, you're not worried about that. Put things in perspective. For most referees, it's a hobby. So don't be afraid to say no. It's important that you realize it is a hobby. So it's up to you. Some people will like to use self-talk methods, have a set phrase or set words that help you during stressful situations, even counting from 1 to 10 or next ball or reset. So if something isn't going your way, you've learned to reset the mind. Use association words pre-match or music, and turn off social media. What are you really going to gain from knowing what the club thinks post-match? So just be cautious, and we'll do a wee bit on social media in a minute or two, but that's minimizing potential stress. So I don't know, Kevin, if you have any pointers in stress.
Talk about stress, even if I start even off at work, that you take on jobs sometimes, that the stress of it is not worth it, you know what I mean? And I have, when you push yourself, sometimes you push yourself too far and you get overstressed on it. So I've had to make life changes, work changes because of stress, just because it just wasn't, like that, you're irritated, it's affecting your family and all that, and one of the things I always say, that if you are stressed, you need to talk to someone. You know what I mean? It's have a confidant, or it could be a friend or another mentor or something like that. But just talk to someone. There's nothing that is so stressful that you can't talk to someone. And I saw a good little article. It's a very simple article about stress. So if you have a glass of water and you hold the glass of water, you can hold that glass of water, for a minute, 10 minutes, and water is like stress. But if you try and hold it for a day, you won't be able to hold it. But the stress is still the same volume of water in it. It's no bigger, no worse than what you're doing. So it was actually a very insightful little article, that the stress will always be the same, but the longer you leave it, the worse it gets. The harder it is to get it off your chest, you know what I mean, and the more pressure you're putting yourself under, so I like that too, the stress words. And that again during games, you know what I mean, I'd have, my word is focus. Do you know what I mean? Focus, Kevin, focus. Do you know what I mean? If you make a wrong decision, if you said, oh, I missed that, and sometimes you'd hear the reaction from the crowd, so you'd say to yourself, focus, you know what I mean, just to reset yourself, it's a reset, just to get back in the game, if you know what I mean. So, but it is hugely important. And in my line of work and all that, it's one of the biggest worries in work situations now is stress nowadays. With all the stresses that we have, social media, everything, is adding to it. And if we were to listen to social media, we'd never referee again, or see it, and I have first-hand account of that. But anyway, it's just, don't let stress get to you. Try and identify it, recognize it, as a thing like that. Writing things down is always good, that you can refer back to it and then deal with it. You know, if you put it on a list, you can easily knock off the issues on a list.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, don't let the stress, it's still going to be there. Don't be holding on
Yes.
to it. Don't be try and get over it or deal with it, I think, instead of keeping it in the back of your head, because it just remains there. Where if you deal with it and move on, you know, sometimes you actually feel more relaxed and you can go and enjoy it then because it's off. The big one, guys, look, this has all been here. People rave. Social media has had so much benefits in society in terms of quick, fast, and scores and promotion of our games, but it has had so many negatives as well. You know, going on to even things outside refereeing, cyberbullying, and people not wanting to come off their phone and not being able to talk anymore. And you know, but for refereeing, it's an easy way for people to criticize referees. You can see it, all the keyboard warriors that maybe haven't ever refereed a game in their life, certainly never played a ladies football game in their life, but they're the experts. And it's a safe environment for them to say whatever they want about a referee. So just be really careful in and around your social media. Take care of your private life and your personal details and secure your profiles. If you are using social media, secure your profiles. Make sure they're all really tight. There's only people that you know or your friends, that you're in private and nobody else can see it. You're not letting anybody have a pop, or maybe being able to get a hold of your address or your work, or you know, anything like that. Don't engage with individuals who could pose a threat or criticize. So there, as I said, there's going to be so many keyboard warriors that only want the reaction. Your family, it's hard for them to read them things probably more than you, but just don't engage, because it doesn't ever make it go away. It makes it worse. It's like added fuel to a fire. Be careful on your friend list and what you post. Just be really careful, no matter how frustrated you are. You know, sometimes I be frustrated, and there's evenings I just turn off all my notifications and turn off, because I just see them turn into things, and you just know, I just love the reply, and I'd probably get the sack if I replied. So I just turn notifications off in them cases. Make sure that all your opinions you share on a social media platform are personal, and in no way do they reflect anyone that you represent. So they don't represent the county board that you're out, or the province, or the national association. That they're your own opinions. And as I said, don't be afraid to turn it off. Don't be afraid to take a break from social media. Sometimes it can do more harm than good. And don't look for it to validate you, you know, because there's just usually more people wanting to get on your back about it than sort of encourage you on it. So just be really careful in and around it. So Kevin, I don't know if you have any things in and around the social media aspect.
I have firsthand, experienced it firsthand, you know what I mean, with negative media, you know, and it's like, I mean, I don't go on it after matches or anything like that. I won't go near it. And as you know, Claire, like, I mean, you were the first to contact me about it, like, you know, that after one game, like, I mean, and it happens, like, I mean, you're never going to get it perfect, you know what I mean, and a decision, and the way, the optics of the way it looks, you know, and you know, all you can do as yourself is, you know, were you happy with your game? You know what I mean? If you're not, what are you going to do to change it? Like, you know what I mean? In the case that you know, that social media event that happened with me, like, I was happy with the decision I made, you know, so it didn't, you know, and it didn't bother me. But yeah, look, it's you will get certain criticisms. You will always be criticized, even at under 12 level. You'll get criticized, you know. But the social media can be a tough place if you're engaging in it, like if you're, you know, scrolling down through it, like, you know.
It's probably, Kevin, one of the things in around, you know, you've had a social media incident yourself. It's going back to people you trust, isn't it? Really, going back to listening to them voices that you trust.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, and like, I mean, and I was lucky enough in that I had a good fourth official, you know what I mean, that reassured me, like, I mean, even before the social media exploded, like, I mean, that the decision I made was correct, you know. Now in that case, I felt I was correct, like, I mean, but they didn't pick, the television camera didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
So be it, you know what I mean, that's it. But I was happy with myself that, you know, and that the fact that my umpires, you know, were happy that I made the right decision, you know. No, I could have made a wrong decision. So, like, I'm not saying that.
I think, Kevin, one thing I want to really put in the context, I think that's one decision out of a full game, you know.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And but they will, like, I mean, look,
Yep.
you know, you stand on the sideline and hear, you know, team struggling, and they'll hone in on every single decision that a referee makes.
Yeah.
You know, I was only doing a line there at the weekend, help, you know, and like, I mean, the one game was going against a team, and you know, every decision the referee was making, he was criticizing. You
Yeah.
know, and I said, look, it's you're under pressure, you're fouling, like, do you know what I mean? That's what happens, you know what I mean? It's nothing to do with the referee. He's only refereeing as best he can, like, you know. But like, you know, he was only saying it to me, and I said, look, this is the way it is, and he understood, but he was still frustrated, like. But you know, but the social media is a dangerous place, like, you know.
So I think our big advice on it, and I know from my point of view anyway, is don't get involved, don't get entangled with it. If it
No.
blows up on you like that, switch it off. Don't read them. Don't do it to yourself, and turn to the people you know you trust and support. Turn to them and spend a bit of time with them, passing away from it. Don't let it climb on top of you.
Yeah. You know, so, but look, it will happen. Like, I mean, you will have games that won't go well. There's no doubt about it. But everyone does have one, you know. And again, it's not to focus on it, just focus on what you did well in it and what you can improve on. You know, that's why I always look for help. Like, you know, if I or ask advice, you know.
And that probably leads us into the next. How do we overcome these? Plan. Realize you're not alone. You know, there's more people in this than you. You have a team around you. There's always someone that asks for help. You know, ask for help. Feel your feelings. If you're annoyed, if you're upset, allow yourself to feel that, but deal with it. Don't, as see what Kevin talked about, the glass of water. It's the exact same thing. Don't let it sit. Deal with it. Learn from it and move on. Next. So ask for that support and move on from it. But deal with it, learn from it, and feel it, I think, is really important when you get into then challenging situations. And that will keep you in a good mindset if you can follow them sort of really simple aspects. So how to look after yourself, track how much you're doing and have a plan. So know where you want to go. Always set out goals. Where do you want to go? What should you be doing? Positive self-talk, start introducing it. It's very important and effective. Instead of saying I can't, say I can. Mindfulness will help you stay relaxed and focused. This can help you get into the zone prior to a fixture. I love this, and I think this is important. Surround yourself with good people. Officials that have the same mindset, form a support group where you will be in the company of colleagues of varying levels and experience. People you can trust and share scenarios with. Surround yourself with good people and they'll help you through anything. Reward yourself when you've completed a goal. If you've achieved something that you've always wanted to achieve, take time and celebrate it. You know, it's an important factor in maintaining a good level of self-care and keeping burnout at bay. If you've reached a goal, like Kevin's officiating in Croke Park on Saturday, it's a brilliant achievement. It's always a great atmosphere. You know, I hope he celebrates that afterwards. You know, that him and his team do something, whether it's a nice meal or whether it's sit around, have a cup of coffee and appreciate it and just really enjoy that moment. And that's a great way of keeping yourself right and keeping it in your mind, relaxed.
Oh yeah, no, that's and my lads are buzzing, like, you know what I mean, that they're looking forward to it, like, you know what I mean, that one lad is actually, he works nights, he's taking he's a lad coming in to cover for him, and then he's going in at 4 o'clock that morning to relieve him, you know, that you know, it's a great day out, like, you know, so we're going to make sure that we go and enjoy the day, you know, that so we don't, it doesn't happen come around that often, so we will make the best of it.
And that you're proud of your achievements. I think it's important that you are proud of them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like, I mean, you know, any game I do with that I try and I always, you know, I'm more proud. I'm more happy for my umpires that I'm dragging all over the country. When I get I'm more happier for them than I am for myself. Like, you know,
Yeah.
that because it's they put in a lot of time and effort, as much time and effort as I do. Like, you know, going to matches and that, and you're dragging them all over the country. Like, you know. So, but it is, so we will enjoy it as these things come up. Like, you know, they're unexpected, so we enjoy them. Like, I never expect, you know, that I always set big goals. I want to do as well as I can, but I never, expect to get the Lexington Crow Park. That's a special event, so we get it. You know what I mean, and we'll enjoy it. And we'll do our best in it. If it goes well, it goes well. If not, we will reflect on it.
That's it. But you'll mind yourself throughout it. People always, I think, you hear it all the time. That referee's a bollocks. That referee's this. That referee's that. No, people don't sometimes realize that referees are just human. So I just thought I'd play this video. I just think it fits in well. Who are referees? Referees are normal people. So you have to mind yourself just like a normal person would. So this is we fit.
I'm a software engineer and I'm a carer for my mother.
I am a member of the Irish Defence Forces. I am a full-time carer.
I'm a husband and a father.
I am somebody's brother.
I'm a father of 4 girls.
I am a volunteer.
I am a friend and a colleague.
I am sport obsessed.
I'm a child.
I am a club secretary.
I am a supporter.
I am impartial.
I am a referee. And even referees make mistakes.
We make mistakes.
We deserve respect.
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 We deserve respect.
I just think it's a great way to sum it up in and around it. Minding yourself as a referee. Our referees are loads of different aspects. They're normal people. They're brothers, husbands, wives, sisters. They all have jobs. They're all volunteers, and it's important that you realise that and that you as a referee just sometimes take that bit of time to look after yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, nobody else will. Sometimes number one has to fit in there, and you have to realise when it's time to need a rest or time to mind yourself and take a step back or seek a bit of support or help. So remember to ask yourself, why are you passionate about refereeing and what keeps you doing it? Keep that at the forefront of your mind. What do you enjoy about match day and being part of the association? Take time out whenever it's needed. Have a good support network and definitely enjoy the experience. So hopefully you enjoyed us this evening, and Kevin, I don't know if you want to wrap up with a couple of words, and that's us done for tonight.
I was highly disgusted there now that I wasn't asked to speak in that video there. I know after about 10 takes I said, quit, you've enough said now, So, but no, look, I enjoy refereeing. I was this, and I always, as I said, like that too, try to be as best as I can. And if I achieve it, I achieve it. I don't beat myself up over it. When I don't want to do things wrong, I'll be annoyed with myself, but I would focus on the next thing. You know what I mean? It's always the next game. You know what I mean? Try to, I suppose, have a short memory, as I suppose. Like, remember what you've done wrong. Try and improve on it, and like that too. You get your support network around you. You know what I mean? You have your umpires, you have your friends. You have your critiques. Have always ones that will critique you. And that's it. You use them as well. So, but it is important that you enjoy it. And I think that's at the end of the day, it's the most important part of it, is if you have to enjoy your refereeing. Which I do.
And folks, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask away. So thanks very much. Just a thanks in there. Anybody, any questions, we're happy to ask any.